Everyone, welcome to the show. So, Elon Musk and his Doge boy band are being exposed again for the fraudulent, incompetent group that they are. So, they're apparently trying to hide everything from the public while claiming that, oh, we're so transparent. We are the most transparent people on earth. I mean, you can just see right through us. We're like jellyfish almost more than we're like windows. So anyway, so here's what is being reported and how they're being called out. According to Trump's own Treasury Department, government spending hasn't gone down. It has not decreased. In fact, his Treasury Department reported that there's been an increase in government spending, or there was in February. It went up by $40 billion year over year. So compared to February 2024 to this year, went up 40 billion. And this is even though Musk and his Doge boy band are claiming, oh, we've saved over $105 billion. So they're gutting the government. They're firing people by the tens of thousands, destroying lives, destroying businesses from the downstream effects from all of this, from them cutting all of these grants and contracts. They're causing the death of people around the world, could be even causing the death of people here because they're cutting off food. They're cutting off grants to farms who were then giving food to food banks. And they're tanking the economy. And yet we spent more money in February compared to in the Biden administration a year ago. Yeah, got it. Okay. And check this out. So the president of the New York State Alliance for Retired Americans, he spoke at a Social Security rally and he explained how we know for sure that Musk and his team have absolutely no clue what they're doing. So take a look at this video.
Doge claims to have found Social Security loans going to 11-year-olds and under. Not. SBA is not a loan. It's a survivor benefit annuity to young children whose parents have passed. That's the problem with IT programmers and billionaires without a clue doing a job they don't understand.
That's right.
So, yeah, Musk's 20-something-year-old morons, they see the initials SB in the Social Security system, and they assume, oh, it's an SBA loan. And they see money going to an 11-year-old child, and they automatically cry fraud. In actuality, that stands for survivors benefits, which is for children whose parents have passed away. Instead of educating themselves on the system, they just go in guns blazing, shooting first, never asking questions. And, I get it. They're supposed to put all these W's on the board for Trump, trying to do this as quickly as possible. But yeah, they're making fools out of themselves and destroying everything in the process. And where is Trump? Where is he during all of this carnage that's going on? And like I said, they're trying to make this whole process as opaque as possible, because last month, the government watchdog group called CREW, which stands for Citizens for Responsibility and Ethics in Washington, they filed a lawsuit against Doge because Musk and his team are refusing to comply with FOIA requests for records. So for people in other countries, a FOIA request is a Freedom of Information Act request. This was a law that was passed saying that the public has a right to request documents, government documents, as long as they're not, classified, top secret, what have you. And our government is supposed to comply. They are supposed to give you whatever you ask for to make the government more transparent. So seems odd, right? That the most transparent government, the most transparent presidency in modern American history or ever that they would not want to comply with FOIA requests. But that's what's been going on. So, if Doge is a government agency, as they claim, then they are subject to the same FOIA requests that all other government agencies are forced to comply with. Well, the Trump administration is claiming no, Doge is exempt from these FOIA laws because it's a quote, freestanding component of the executive office of the president. So, this is something I explained before that normally, you can't just request anything. You can't issue a FOIA request to the president because obviously he is dealing with national security issues and there's a lot of concerns there about what he's seeing and what the public is allowed to see, blah, blah, blah. So if something happens within the executive branch, within the president's, orbit, that is not a FOIA-able document or, request. Well, they moved the Doge crew, the Doge fake government agency was moved and put under him, was basically made a part of the executive branch so that you purposely could not get anything. Well, Crew rightfully pointed out in court that as long as an executive branch agency or an executive agents or executive branch department, I should say, as long as they don't function, quote, solely to advise and assist the president, then FOIA laws still apply. So again, as long as, you're not dealing with national security stuff and it's not something that, is directly related to the president. So they told the judge that, they need to gain insight into Doge, and it's vital because, quote, the nature of the influence Doge has been wielding is unlike anything we've ever seen before. This newly formed, unscrutinized black box agency is directing other agencies what to do and what not to do. They're instructing agencies to the tune of hundreds of billions of dollars in canceled contracts and the firing of thousands of federal workers. So the judge has now ruled that, Crew definitely is in the right. They are their right to request these documents. They have a right to get all of this stuff. No word so far as to how Doge has complied, if they've complied at all. I doubt that they're going to. I have a feeling they're just going to go, oh, well, just like Trump, take it to a higher court. Yeah. And just as with Trump's unconstitutional deportations, there's little that the court can do. So, if Musk says, no, I'm just going to ignore the judge, what can they do? I mean, they can say, oh, well, he is violating the law. He has to comply. He's violating a court order. We hold him in contempt. Okay, what are you going to charge him? He's the world's richest man, right? And you can't charge the government agency. They're not going to comply. So you have to hit somebody, like an attorney. And so, okay, Elon Musk is just going to pay that bill for them. And if you try to have them arrested, we run up against the same issue that we run up against with these immigration issues, is that Donald Trump is in charge of the Justice Department and the FBI and every other, government agency that would be called in, the marshal's office. He is in charge of all of that. So they're not going to, these are all his loyalists now. This is not like the first administration where he had some people who still had a conscience, where he had some people who still had ethics and morals and believed in the way the government works and not violating laws and principles and standards and, the Constitution. So they're not going to arrest anybody. So we'll see what happens with that. But it shouldn't be too hard to get that information about this fake agency. I mean, in general, it shouldn't be this difficult to get information from our government. especially when they're saying, oh, we're so transparent. And this isn't the only thing that I wanted to share with you guys, because this isn't the only way that they're trying to hide the truth. Because according to the New York Times, Musk is now obscuring data on the Doge website. This is purposely done so that news organizations can't fact check all these so-called savings that they claim that they're getting for the American public. So the New York Times wrote, quote, previously, when it posted new claims, Doge, Mr. Musk's government restructuring effort, had included identifying details about the cuts it took credit for. That allowed the public to fact check its work by comparing its figures with federal spending databases and talking to the groups whose funding had been cut. But Doge is no longer specific about grants and programs that they say they've cut. So they're no longer giving any of these details. They're not saying, XYZ grant and we cut this and blah, blah, blah. So what happened was, at first, New York Times reporters, what they were doing is they were using the embedded source code on the Doge website. So they were finding the source code from these grants that they supposedly cut, and they were still able to, work their way backward and fact check these so-called savings in that way. Well, sure enough, they uncovered more of the same types of errors that Doge had been making and claiming savings for. So, for example, they wrote, quote, at least 5 of the 20 largest savings, in quotes, appeared to be exaggerated according to federal data and interviews with the nonprofits whose grants were on the list. The largest item on the list was savings of $1.7 billion, which the group said it achieved by cutting a U.S. agency for international development grant. But the organization that got the grant, a public health nonprofit called Gavi, the Vaccine Alliance, said that information was wrong twice over. For one, the grant had not been terminated. Second, the government had already paid out all the money it owed. So even if the grant had been terminated, the savings would have been zero. So yeah, they already paid it. So there's no savings. And then they hadn't even canceled the grant. And then the Times provided other examples of errors or false savings that they claim. So Doge apparently must have realized, okay, they're still catching us. They're still figuring this out. And the New York Times said, quote, Mr. Musk's group later removed those identifiers from the code and posted more batches of claims that could not be verified at all. That shift was a major step back from one of Mr. Musk's core promises about his group, that it would be maximally transparent. So they realized they got caught, and they're like, oh, shit, we got to get that out of there, because they're still able to fact check us and they're still making us look like the liars that we are. So Doge, in the meantime, they have also added back to the website incorrect information. You guys might remember me talking about this. This was maybe about a month ago, maybe not that long ago. There was a $1.9 billion contract, and they said, oh, we canceled this. So look at this huge savings we got. Well, it came out that no, actually, that was canceled under the Biden administration. Joe Biden's people canceled that $1.9 billion contract. So Doge had removed it after the media busted them, and now it's back. Now it is back on the website. They're falsely taking credit for it again. Unfortunately, MAGA is still buying this BS. They still believe this. They still think that Doge is creating all of this savings and they're exposing the left, they're exposing the Democrats and all of their waste and all of their fraud. And, that's the only reason why any of us care about it. So, yeah, they're so in their little bubble. So until the economy completely crashes, until they start feeling it personally, the vast majority are going to stick with these lying, incompetent jackasses. They are not going to believe us, and they are going to cheerlead for this psycho. And I'll let you figure out, do I mean Trump? Do I mean Elon Musk? Could be both. I mean, hard to tell now when you say psychos in the Trump administration. All right. I will let you know when I hear more. Thank you all so much for watching and listening. Please like, please share, and subscribe. Please donate if you can. Love you all. Take care. Talk with you soon.